Well, we may as well go ahead and officially get started. You are all here because you are a math teacher, perhaps, or you want to know a little bit more about math. Maybe you've heard about OneNote, but you're just here to kind of learn alongside us. So my name is Michelle Armstrong. I'm one of the co-founders of the Cobblestone Collective. I'm not a math teacher at all. I am 100% here just learning along with you. The two guys that are going to be teaching us all sorts of great stuff are Coulter and Chris. But why don't I turn it over? Let's go over to Chris first. Tell us a little bit about you, Chris.
Hey everyone, my name's Chris, and I'm a high school math teacher. I live just outside Montreal in Quebec, and I'm pretty excited to also learn what some of the hidden features that we can find in OneNote from Coulter, and show you some of the cool math stuff we can do as well.
Awesome. And Coulter, maybe before you introduce yourself, because I know, Coulter, you're going to take it away once I give you the floor, but just want to let all of you know here, we're a small group. We would love to learn together with you. Thank you so much for posting in the chat. Daniel, loving that GIF image. Yes, GIFs works in Teams meetings. But those of you that are here, and if you kind of figured you could just sit back and watch and not say anything, don't worry, we're not going to make you come out and play along, but we sure would love to see you and hear from you. So don't hesitate to unmute or show us your face. We'd love to see you. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to the guy that's going to take us through a whole bunch of cool stuff. Coulter, take it away.
Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. My name is Coulter. I am going to really sort of walk you through a little bit of OneNote just to give you the back end stuff. And then I'm going to hand it over to Chris, who's a bit more math savvy than myself. Just a little bit about me. I'm an elementary school teacher. I got K to 10, but my focus is usually K to 6. But I have worked with Microsoft in the past and OneNote specifically. So I would actually just like to see in the chat, if you could, let me know your understanding of OneNote, or have you used OneNote before? Maybe give yourself a rating on like 1 to 5. That would be great just to see where you're at with OneNote. Have you ever used it before? Would probably be give yourself like a 2 or a 3. A 0 for never heard of it, never touched it. First time I'm going to see it is today. And then, just sort of gauge yourself on where that you might be on that scale. Just to give myself a better understanding of the audience. So it'd be great if you could send that through.
It's gonna be great. We got a bunch of 0s and 1s. Like, I think there's a bunch of you out here that are going to be pretty blown away by some of the super cool features. Coulter, while we've got them in the chat and they're all warmed up, I'd also love to know, what do you teach?
Yeah.
Are we talking to just math teachers here? What grade? But just let us know a little background about what grade you teach or what subject you teach, just so that we know we're talking to the right audience. All right.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Let us know in the chat you're rolling, Ed. And thanks for chiming in. Daniel, this is great for you. We'll even provide you a little PD certificate at the end today. Definitely helps with teacher candidates. Throw that in your portfolio. So be aware for that coming at the end. Awesome. So we've got a nice little mix here. Okay, great. So I'm just going to also start off with a quick little land acknowledgement. I think it's definitely valuable and important that we recognize the land that we're on and the treaties that we're working within. Myself, I'm on the Mississaugas of the Credits. I actually recently just went online, not recently, but I've gone to native-land.ca, and I did a little bit more research digging into exactly where I am, and I found that I'm on Treaty 13. And there's a handful of other treaties around me. I know Chris is over in Montreal. He's in, I believe, Mohawk. I believe you're on the lands of the Mohawk. And Michelle, I'm not exactly sure where you are or what lands you're on, but maybe you can chime in and let us know that.
Yeah, you bet. I'm based in Calgary, and we're Treaty 6 lands, and we've got Stoney Nakoda, the Blackfoot are out here, Satina. But yeah, just beautiful, beautiful land in the prairies for sure.
Yeah, that's great. And I just think it's important that we recognize that and that we encourage our students to recognize what land they're on, and we pay tribute to that. So today our goals are just to get a little basic understanding of OneNote, just going to discover it real quick. I'm going to lead us through a quick little activity at the beginning so you become a little bit more familiar with it. And then we're going to try to incorporate some whiteboard functions, solve some more difficult math equations. We'll incorporate Chris with that as well, and see if we can get some assignments done and look at those next level options that we can do inside of OneNote. So I am going to be a little bit more live demo, but I just want to start off with this first slide here, because in your and as I'm doing this, you can head on over to office.com and sign into your education account that way. If you're having a tough time signing in or can't sign in, let me know. I can throw a demo account in there that you might be able to have access to, and just to practice and play in tonight. But head over to office.com and sign in using your EDU credentials, so you can have access to this today and be hands-on and immersed and work alongside me today. But it is important to know that there are a few different types of OneNotes out there that look very similar in the icons, and they just want to do this to confuse you, right? So there is the original OneNote. That's your personal binder. It's set up like your old school. I say old school, but like I used it in late 90s. It was like the manila folders where you had to, and my stubby little fingers couldn't fit the little white sheet that I labeled inside of the color-coded manila folder there. And then you had your pages for everything behind that. So that's pretty much what OneNote is. It's a digital binder. And what we can do is we can build from that and put it into a student binder where we can collaborate with our students. We can see their binders directly in front of us. And we can have this space where we can collaborate with everybody in the classroom. It can be small groups collaboration. It can be one-to-one collaboration. So it's a really nice way that we keep things organized and that we can work together within our class. And then there's even a staff OneNote as well. It's not, I didn't even put that up here, but there's a staff notebook as well. So when we head into our office.com, just make sure that you're choosing the right one, okay? Today, I would actually recommend today just going through the regular OneNote. It's because it's a little bit easier to set up. And we do have some options for you, and you can see, but if you want to go through Class Notebook, it is very self-explanatory and very user-friendly to set that up. But the visuals for today, it just might be more seamless for you just to be in a personal digital binder, so just the regular OneNote. So with that being said, I'm going to get out of my slide deck here, and I'm going to move on over to my lovely, wonderful, organized desktop there. And I encourage you to have an organized desktop as well. Now, underneath those folders, it is just a mess. But for my students, when they get to see that lovely desktop, because I share my screen all the time, it looks like I'm really organized. So this is going to be your Office homepage. Maybe you can just give me a thumbs up in the chat if you've gotten here and you're ready to go, just so I know. We do have a nice intimate group this evening, so I'm happy to go at your pace. Awesome. You can see you've already chiming in. That's great. So just let us know if you're ready. Yeah.
I'm not quite, I can't type into the chat for some reason, but I'm Stephanie. I'm at OneNote online, like office.com, but I don't know how to get there.
So as long as you're in your Office homes, like you got your Office home page where it says "Good evening, Stephanie" or whatever, you're there. Is that correct? Sorry, you might be muted again, Stephanie.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I don't know. I might have clicked on the wrong thing.
As long as you signed into the Office, that's okay. That's all that we're there right now. We've just signed into Office.
Good evening. Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No.
Thank you.
Thanks for clarifying. That's what we want right now, right? We want to make sure that we're going at your pace. And I don't want to go too fast that we lose you. And especially this early in the workshop, definitely don't want you to be behind just yet. So if anyone else runs into problems, again, please just let us know. We'll get you there. Okay. So what you should see on the left-hand side is just some small icons. I can try to zoom in here, but you've got your small icons here on the left. Uh-oh, it's going to go back for me. That's not what I want. There we go. But if you go all the way down to the bottom, you'll actually be able to see it's kind of like it is your window. Now I'm going to zoom out again, and it's your icon right there at the bottom here. And if you clicked on that, it's going to open up all of your apps. So you can see all of the apps that you have here. So I can see here, there's my OneNote, there's my staff notebook, there's my whiteboard for later on maybe, here's Teams. So I have all of my this is my home screen. These are all the tools that I have through my education account. So I am going to go into a OneNote here. I encourage you to do the same thing and head on in. If you do see class notebook, feel free to open up a class notebook, but you can click on new notebook to create a new notebook. And for today, I'm just going to title it, because it's a personal notebook, I'm just going to title this one Math. And I'm just going to leave it at that. It's just going to be Math. And it's just going to open up this blank notebook for me. And I actually don't have really anything here just yet. And it's really nice thing about OneNote is that it's an open canvas. It's just unlimited space. I have yet to come across anybody that's run out of data storage here. It's just a really nice way that we can put tons of our content and just have it nice and organized for us. So you can see it should say that it's empty. I'm going to click enter to add a new section. But what I want you to do, and I'll give you some time, and I do like to run on the thought that I do and then we do. So if you just want to watch my screen, and then I'm going to pause and give you a moment to actually do it yourself. But
awesome. Hey, Coulter, and just before you do, because there's a great question, Philomena asked a great question. Like, is this kind of like D2L? Like, what is OneNote? And I know we've even had conversations in our team, like, what's like the Google comparison to OneNote? Yeah, so I think that's a great question, Philomena. Like, no, it's not really like D2L, but Coulter, can you give us like that bird's eye view of like, what is this that we've just come into?
I missed that opportune moment this week when we had that conversation in our internal workspace about what is it comparable to in Google, or is it comparable to anything else? And I read that a few times, and I've always done the research, and I thought maybe something's been updated, but I've yet to see a comparable program to this. There is yet something to come out. Now, there's other tools that you could sort of mash together and make it work and take your notes there, but really is a little bit specific. And there's a few of these options that you have here in OneNote that are just really not found anywhere else. So it is really a standalone program that is quite unique to Microsoft and is really one of their staple programs because it is yet to be copied by another tech company. Yeah, there's Chris and chiming in the chat there about some other mashups. So you can take a look at those if you're familiar with those and see if you can find it compatible, because I know that some school boards might not be onto the OneNote just yet. But for today's purposes, hopefully we can sway you to be like, yeah, I want to use OneNote, especially for math stuff. So essentially what I want to do is I want to create some sections. So on the bottom left, I click on this add section button, and this might be my first section, which might be, let's go with measurement. Okay, and that's my first section. And my second section, once it loads, I'm going to add another one. So bottom left, I click on add section. It lets me title it, and you can see it's already color-coded like our manila folders in our 3-ring binders. And this one is going to be maybe trig. And maybe I want my last one. We can do our last one, and it can just be something a little bit more specific. Let's go. Homework.
And so right now, this is really just showing it like kind of almost the binder functionality of OneNote, and these are just my little dividers. Like,
yeah, these are definitely just your little dividers, and then in each divider we have these things called pages. So in my measurement tool here, I can click on this, and I can add and title a page. So you add and title the page by clicking on the above the date, and you just add more pages as you go. So maybe in my homework page here, or homework title, I can add specific dates. So maybe this one can be May 20th. And then this homework page here is going to be May 22. I guess that's going to be Saturday, so it's going to be 25. So we can add these pages to be specific to what's in our binder here, or our sections. So I'm just going to pause here, and I'm going to give you about 2 minutes. I would like you to create at least 2 sections and add a page or 2 in there. And then we're going to get rolling with just adding some content, and hopefully get you quite familiar. I'm going to pass the mic over to Chris in about 10 minutes or so he can be a little bit more specific into our math stuff. But I just want to make sure that we're comfortable inside of OneNote, and get to know some of the real basic tools that you have here. So I'm just going to put a timer on. You got about 90 seconds now. Just add a section or 2. You can also let me know in the chat when you've done this, and we get a majority, we'll move on. Doing that, open up.
And so we do have MC having difficulty opening the app. And so MC, if you're just on the website, just office.com, I feel like that's the easiest way to get to OneNote. And I wonder if maybe if you don't have a Microsoft login, I'm not sure, but by all means, MC, if you want to jump in and just let us know where you're struggling, we'd be happy to help you out if you want to unmute.
Hi. Yeah, I'm in the website, and then when I click down the down arrow where it says Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Visio, OneNote, and I click OneNote, and there's a check mark beside it, it just doesn't do anything after that. Nothing pops up at the side like it does on your screen.
How about when you go into open all, or let's try this way. Do you have your waffle at the top left? 9 dots in the top?
No, I just have, like on that website, you mean?
At Office.
Oh, sorry, top left. I was looking at the right where it usually is. Yes. Okay, now I see it. Yeah.
So if you clicked on that, and then you'll Office, it might be in there where you're seeking all apps, and then you can click on all apps there.
Okay, I did.
And hopefully it now opens up the bigger screen there for you to see all of your apps. And if you scroll down,
it just shows, it doesn't show OneNote.
Doesn't show OneNote. Are you in an email account?
Pardon me?
Are you in a personal account or your education
account? No, I'm in my K-12 account. Sorry, not my K-12. Sorry, my YCDSB account.
So it should be you. I did just put a link like directly to OneNote. Give that do you see it in the chat there? What happens if you click directly on the link that goes, hopefully, directly to OneNote? See what happens there.
Oh, this one here. Okay, that's a different link, I think.
It just goes.
Oh, it has a pop-up that says no license. Please contact your Office 365 admin. So do I have to send in a ticket, I guess? Or is it maybe our board isn't doing it? I don't know.
Why RDSB?
No, YCDSB.
You're Catholic.
You're Catholic, yeah.
Yeah. I actually think that York Catholic is one of the boards that no, they should have Microsoft. You should have an account.
Okay. It's okay. I can just watch. That's okay. I don't want to delay everybody else. I thought I was doing something wrong, and I was embarrassed to say anything.
If you go into your account in the corner, you can click on your name and you can view your account. It will tell you what sort of license you have and what apps are licensed to you. So you can check there what apps you have as a license.
Okay, from the same page?
Yeah, from your homepage there at the top right, you'll see your
clicking my account.
This will also double check that you're signed in with your EDU account. So
I am. Yeah, I'm signed in with my YCDSB account.
Yeah.
So sorry, where should I look at? Office apps?
The top right, you should see your initials. If you went to office.com and signed in.
Yeah.
And then the top right, you'll see your initials. And if you clicked on that, you'll be able to click on view account.
Yep.
And then you should be able to see the apps that you have access to. I'm surprised though that you don't have the OneNote. Do you have a class notebook option as well, or just not the OneNote?
Well, we use D2L or we use Google Classroom. That's pretty much what most people use.
Yeah, but it should still, because you should still have the licensing, it might be turned off by your board. I'm not positive, but
Oh, maybe.
you have the license.
Okay, I'm just going to look for view apps and devices. It doesn't really, it doesn't give me a list. No, it just says that they've turned off Skype.
Could be, yeah, that they're restricting some things. But you know what? And this is actually for anyone. If you have a question, like one of those things like, oh, we wish we could dig in and figure it out right now, email us over at help@cobblestonecollective.ca.
Okay.
And then we've got a team over there that they can dig in with you and see if we can't get to the bottom of it. So
okay.
Hopefully.
Okay, yeah, I can just watch for tonight. It's okay.
I just threw in the chat a username and a password. If you want to log out and log back in using that, that should get you in as a little sample. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. And I saw some questions coming through in the chat there. How do you add a section? You want me to show you that again? I'm not sure if you're able to see that. I tried to show it, but right there at the bottom on the left-hand side, it sometimes disappears. You might have to just hover your mouse over top. You could also right-click the section, and we'll say add a section. New section. And then if you wanted to add more pages, you can add more pages right there as well. And then you title the page by putting the name above the top there. Sorry, above the top of the date here. Okay, so what I wanted to do quickly is just wanted to go over a couple of the options.
And we may have lost Coulter, which means we're going to explore some of the options until Coulter comes back. Now, hopefully Coulter will only be a minute, but I'm so glad that you asked that question about how do we add a section and add a page. I never saw those down at the bottom either. I was always going through, like I was looking in the menus, but oh yeah, they're down at the bottom. That makes perfect sense. So while we're waiting for Coulter, maybe Daniel, maybe you'll just jump in and you'll present on behalf of Coulter. What do you think?
I'm not sure about that. I know my way around I don't know my way around the website. I've not used the website.
Worries.
I've only downloaded the program and used it.
Yeah, no problem at all. Do you know what we could probably do, Chris? Tell me, Chris, that you're still here. There you are.
I'm still here.
Awesome. Well, Chris, what we can do we want to just dive into some of the math stuff you were going to do? So ultimately, what we were planning was Coulter was going to just give us a general overview of OneNote. He got most of it in, but now we want to dig into some of the math functionality. Chris,
why don't we look at Whiteboard while Coulter's
I'd like to stay in OneNote because I think we can.
Sure.
And I don't want to confuse everyone too much, but I'm happy to share my screen and then you just tell me kind of math stuff to do if you want.
Let's go for it. Let's do some math.
Here we go. So we're gonna just dive into the math functionality of
Michelle, remind us again what your background is. Teaching background.
Not math at all.
Not math,
no,
right?
My goodness. Coulter's back.
Hey, sorry, folks,
Michelle,
I had a full-on power meltdown at the house. Everything went out. So back on with the hotspot.
Amazing.
Okay. Don't know if okay, so it's great that you can hear me. Do you want me to continue, or I see that?
No.
So sorry.
We were gonna dive in. Well, hey, Coulter. Why don't I'll go ahead and continue and share my screen just to cut down on your bandwidth. And then if you want, I can just be your Vanna White and you tell me what buttons to press. I'm
okay to show my OneNote. I've got tons of data, so I'm fine to just continue where I was if everyone's okay with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. And I also love that we just kind of roll with like, okay. You know.
This happens, right? I was completely shocked there that just all the lights went out, and I thought, oh, don't worry, the internet's going to be fine. But
your modem would go down.
So, really, what I was just trying to show you, and I can head back to answer some of those questions that came back in the chat in a little bit. But what I wanted to show you was that you have some of these options here to and that we might be familiar with, but we have these tabs at the top here. We have our home tab, our insert tab, and our draw tab. These are the ones we're going to really work through tonight. And I just wanted to quickly talk about one or two in each tab. The first one being the dictate function. Really nice and easy way to dictate onto the screen, allowing some accessibility options for our students. We can even dictate some math, word problems. Just a nice way that we can keep things accessible. The next option is under the...
Wait, can you show that one more time? I didn't see where you clicked because it's pretty tiny. Where was the speaking thing that you just did?
Sorry, I'll zoom in a little bit. That's here on the...
Oh yeah, that's way better. I can actually see the word dictate now. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So you can actually dictate in a few different languages as well, which is quite nice. And then we can actually even translate those languages over in one. So one thing to know though is it's still a work in progress. The punctuation isn't the best. That's the one downfall right now with the dictation function. But everything else is pretty good and it's pretty powerful to allow some accessibility in the classroom. So then, so that's the dictate function. I'll give you a moment to play with that in just a moment. But then we have our insert tab. So it's a new tab there. And we have some options under the insert tab, some ones that you might be familiar with, the table, adding files or printouts, throwing some pictures in there, and even doing some audio notes. So this is a nice accessibility feature as well. So I can click on audio, and now I can explain or just have this audio piece right inside of the OneNote, providing directions, providing maybe some word problems for students, anything that we can support our students with audio. And then when I'm done, I just click on stop, and it'll just load there for me. So it's a nice way that we can support different types of learners and help our students out. So there it is. I can just click on play. Or this audio piece right inside of the OneNote, providing direct. Does anyone else not like the sound of their own voice when it's being recorded, or in like a microphone and you hear it later on? You're like, oh my gosh, I sound like that.
A microphone through a Teams, yeah. Hey, Coulter, one thing I wanted to point out, when I first started using OneNote, I was super confused because I'd click on the insert menu and I'm waiting for a pop down menu like we see in Google. And even today I caught myself again like, oh wait, I'm clicking on it. It's not doing anything. Oh yeah, the menu shows up right down below it. So that's just something I'm not sure if anyone else is just used to seeing a drop down menu. It's not a drop down, it's just there it is on that menu bar. So
and sometimes it's important to know that it turns to gray here. It's grayed out, which just means that it's noticed that your mouse isn't allowing you. It's not in a spot where you can insert anything. So as long as you click on the open canvas, you'll see that it'll turn back. So if it's grayed out, it just means that you need to make sure that your mouse is on the open canvas. And there you go. And then you can actually see you have the math function here as well. So we can insert some math. We'll get to that in just a moment. But the last thing I wanted to really show you here is that draw function. And this is what we're going to work with later on. Sorry, not the draw function, the immersive reader function. So what I can do is I can have my students be supported by this playback. And if you might be familiar with Google Read and Write, it is quite similar, but there are some a little bit differences. But it is a nice accessibility tool, and I encourage you to explore this if you haven't. I don't want to go over and take away too much from our math content, but it's just important that you see that you can have this, and it works directly inside of the math feature that we'll be showing in just a minute. So just for me to show you that it's here, you can turn on some grammar options, show your nouns, your speech, your parts of speech. You can also change your curriculum colors for students with any visual difficulties, increasing or decreasing your text size as well is very supportive. And then we have the picture dictionary as well. So you can turn on your picture dictionary, click on the word. Not every word has a picture dictionary for you, but you do have a handful of options that really support our emerging readers and writers or students that are just needing that extra support. And that's where we can also change and translate our languages as well. Lots of different languages. And I can just jump back and forth between a language and the original language as well. So we change this to French. And I realize that this isn't a best of example that I dictated here, but it gets the job done for what we're doing today. So it can change by word or the whole document. and I can bounce back and forth between my French and my original. So I encourage you to check this out and play around with it a little bit more. I just wanted to give you the basic rundown of your OneNote features. You can see there is some other options here. It is very user-friendly. It is very supportive of your students and not trying to be overly complicated with what they can do here. So my goal was to actually have you write out or use some of these features to create a simple math problem right now to get you more familiar with it. But I think with regards to time, I think it's best that we just pass it over to Chris and let him really highlight the math feature here.
Awesome. And before we do Coulter, there are a couple of questions just on why some people aren't seeing the same features that you were seeing. So one in particular is Daniel doesn't have the math button. Is that because Daniel's not in an EDU Microsoft account?
Possibly, Daniel. I'm guessing you might be though. Are you in your school account? But that's the one thing. If you're not in the EDU account, also it could be if you're using the app and the app is not down or updated just yet. Maybe you're using an older app. That could be an issue.
I switched from my personal to my Ontario Tech account, and I see it now.
Yay! Oh, awesome. And then there were questions, and I think that this might be Steph's question, just the difference between that local app versus the web version, and specifically they were talking about the saving of the audio, and like, is that different depending on whether you're using the web version or the local version on kind of who can access that audio recording? If you do it locally, it probably can't be shared, right?
So it all depends if you're on the app. So this is my app version. You can always tell you're on the app because I don't have a website address above me. And this is the app version. I can see that I'm using the web. Oh, sorry, this is the web version. But if I'm in the app, and this is just an old colleague of mine, they can see here they've got the math all set up by chapters. And then in each chapter, they have all of their specific content for what they're working on. But what they can do is you can sync. If you're working in the app, it should sync to your cloud. So it automatically should sync every 10 seconds. However, if you don't see that there, you can go to the file. Now I'm on a Mac, so it's a little bit different, but my file here at the top, it will say sync this notebook. And that will just sync it to the cloud for me and allow it to populate in my app version. Or if I'm working with students and it's a collaborative spot, it should automatically do that. But if they're having trouble seeing it, this is at your failsafe. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, hopefully. And Steph, if there's still something more, by all means, go ahead and post in the chat. But yeah, let's dig into some math stuff. Chris, what did you have in mind for us inside OneNote for the math?
Well, let's try something basic. So, Michelle, just so everybody's clear, your background is not math, right? So, like, if the great thing about this is, like, if me guiding Michelle through this, Michelle's going to be able to do it. Then, like, you guys can guide your students through it, and they can use it too. So, Michelle, are you gonna share your screen?
Sure. Yes, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. And the cool thing about my screen, I have the luxury of having a touchscreen monitor as well as a touchscreen device. So a lot of this is way better with touchscreen. So I'm gonna be kind of reaching over to my monitor here. So Chris, tell me, what do I need to do?
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try writing some math on the screen. So we're going to go to draw.
Oh, draw first. Got it.
Yeah, so we're going to go to draw, and then we're going to use the pencil. So you're going to click on the little pencil at the top there in the toolbar. And let's try something basic. Let's graph a line. So let's do y equals 3x plus 4.
Okay.
Okay. Now we're going to go over to the little rectangle tool at the top there, the little select tool.
Got it.
And we're going to draw around that so it's highlighted. And we're going to hit the math tool that's in that draw menu.
And this is, math teachers, if you've never seen this, like, this is like, you probably will fall out of your chair. So be ready.
Okay, so now what OneNote has done is OneNote's read our math that we've put in as writing, and it's converted it into text. Now, we can say that we want to do ink to math, so it will actually take that ink and it will turn it into the math, and it will insert the function there. So now it's nice and neat and not sort of chicken scratch, which is what I usually end up, especially if you're using your mouse or your trackpad on your computer and you're trying to like draw it out. Like that's just an epic disaster. So what we're going to do now is we're going to ask OneNote to give us a graph. So Michelle, if you go where it says select an action there in the sidebar, we're going to say we want to graph this in 2 dimensions. And now OneNote's going to give us a graph. Now, one thing that irritated me a little bit about this when I started to look at this was I was like, well, how do I, like, I want more than this much graph, or I want to move it over a little bit. I only want like the first quadrant. Now, what you'll notice is that at the top and the bottom and the left and the right-hand side, there's little arrows. Now, if you tap on those little arrows, it will reposition your graph. So we can like move it around so we have a particular part of the graph that we want. And we can also zoom in and out by using the little magnifying glass at the bottom of the image there. So we can have a larger scale or a bigger scale. And at the bottom there, there's also a little key graph features. It tells you some important things about your graph. So you can see your zeros, your intercepts, your domain, your range. So it gives you all that information, which is awesome. We're going to go back up there, Michelle. I don't even know what the parity is. And we're going to click Insert on Page. Great. Okay. So now we've got a basic function and we've got a basic graph. Why don't we stop there for a minute and give people like an opportunity to do that themselves and make sure that they can create a function, they can like throw a graph in. If you want to try something crazy advanced, go for it. It works really well. Let us know in the chat there if you've got any questions. We'll help you out. So to make the graph, I just saw that came up in the chat. Michelle, you want to show us again how to do that? So we go to graph in 2D there, and then it's going to graph it, and then underneath it's going to have insert on page, and we're going to click insert on page at the bottom there.
And Susan, it could be once you draw your equation and then you outline it with the box, then you click the math button. Once you click the math button, that's when you get this side panel that comes up. So draw the equation, perfect. Then you're going to take your outline tool. So I'm going to go back to draw, and then this outline's just square. So I don't actually have anything drawn, but you're going to outline your equation. And then once it's outlined, you click math and then boom. Oh, you've got the function there. Perfect. So then, yep, it'd be that drop down. Awesome.
If you didn't give it a full function, it won't be able to necessarily graph it. So that could be the other. Okay, you've got it. Perfect. Okay, Michelle, so we're looking for the equal signs in the chat when people are ready to carry on.
Are you, Chris, are you also going to show like the solve for X and Y?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I thought we'd let them play before we knew, we blow their minds totally, right? So if you look at the math button, you need to be in the draw tab, or I do believe it's somewhere else, but I always forget where the other math button is. So I love that Teams has the GIFs. Like, it's totally like one of the best things about using Teams.
Daniel, I think we're going to just plant you in every one of our workshops. Like, you're just going to be the GIF master. Thank you so much for the laughs. I love it. Awesome, Chris.
Michelle, did you stop sharing your screen on purpose, though?
I didn't. Let me go back.
Philomena, the pen is under the draw tab. And then you'll see at the toolbar, in the toolbar at the top, there's like a little mouse cursor, and then there's an eraser, and then there's a thing that looks like a pencil. So that's what you're looking for.
And excellent. I've got the draw feature back on my screen again. I forgot to, I don't know why.
Okay.
I went to the math tab and like there's a emoji beside it, an audio. I just, for some reason, it's probably staring me in the face. I can't see the, it says
Oh, I
right.
think it's because you're on the insert tab and not the draw tab.
Okay. Oh
Like
yeah.
there's
Okay.
insert
Yes.
math and then there's
You
draw
read
with
my
math. You
mind.
need to be
Yes,
on the
that's
draw
correct.
one.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's carry on because there's some really amazing stuff. So we're going to use the same function that we've already made. And what I'm going to get Michelle to do now is I'm going to get her to choose solve for x, because maybe Michelle doesn't know how to solve this function. So she's going to click on solve for x there. And we can't really solve this. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to give our function a friend. So we're going to write out another function using our pen, Michelle.
Okay.
So we're really going to push the boundaries and see what's possible here. So we're going to do we're going to try something which may not work, and then we might have to do it again, but we'll see what happens here. So we're going to do y is equal to negative 2x plus 1.
Okay.
Okay, now we're going to use our little rectangle. We're going to highlight it.
Oh, come on. Come on, rectangle. You got this. Oh, there we go. Other way. See if it gets it all. Oh, missed my little bit of y. Let's try again. Oh, let's try again. There we go.
Okay, we're going to hit math.
Math over here, right? There we go.
Yeah, and then we're going to do ink to math.
Okay, and we don't have to do ink to math though, right?
No, but we're going to try something out here. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to draw our rectangle around the two equations that we have.
Okay, Chris, now you're. So, okay,
We're going
rectangle.
to draw a little rectangle around both ones, and then we're going to hit math.
Oh my goodness.
Ah, look at that. I was hoping that was going to work. This is good. Okay, now under select an action, we're going to choose solve for y and solve for x. So now you're going to click on that. So solve for y and x. Okay, awesome. Now because we can actually solve for x and we can solve for y, we can now see the steps on how to do that. So if you click on show steps, now what's really cool here is we can now use a variety of different methods. So we can use substitution method, we can use the elimination method. So let's say that the one that they often struggle with the most, I find, is elimination. So let's say that we're going to use the elimination method. And now it's going to give us instructions on how to solve that equation using the elimination method. We can use the immersive reader there at the top. And we've got step-by-step instructions all the way down to the bottom. But keep going, Michelle. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. But Coda, do we
It's
just
over to the right. I know what you're looking for. Are you looking for this?
No. How do we can put it in and try and drag it, Michelle, the instructions. Can you drag the instruction? Yeah, there you go. Look, and you can drop it into your OneNote. Okay. Now, if this wasn't enough, should we let them play with this for a second now?
No, let's just show the whole thing and then they're just gonna, because we've lost them.
Now we're gonna have lost them. Okay. So scroll over to the right-hand side and go find that little button. Now this one's hidden. So it kind of like hides off. Like somebody needs to work on the interface a little bit, but like that button is worth the hunt. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hit generate a practice quiz. And now your mind is just going to be blown. So somewhere in the Microsoft universe, there is some magic going on. You have to click on the little sign in button. Did you click on sign in? Yeah, awesome. Now, it's going to ask us how many questions we want. We want more than 3 questions. Like 3 questions probably isn't enough. Let's go with 10 questions, Michelle. Okay, and we're going to generate a quiz. Now, what's really cool here is what's now going to happen is the Microsoft gerbils are running around in their little wheel, generating a quiz for us. And something doesn't quite seem to have gone right here. but you kind of get it. That sometimes it just doesn't get it right. This is one of those cases, but we'll run with it because clearly solving for x and y would not give us one of those answers. But you know, hey. So what's cool about this is if you get one that works. So for example, like say we were talking about grade 7 or like grade 8 where you wanted like a basic equation, right? So we've got like 3x plus 4 is equal to 12. We want them just to solve for x. So now to save yourself a mountain of time, you've now got yourself a quiz. Now this is great. You might be saying, I've got a quiz. What do I do with it? Okay, Michelle. So we're going to go back to your OneDrive.
Oh boy. Okay. OneDrive. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what we're going to notice that in Michelle's OneDrive,
yes.
maybe we're going to go to forms, Michelle. This is where my my OneDrive skills.
But this is also so cool, just knowing because both Chris and I come from the Google verse, right? And Coulter has like shown us the crazy light of this Microsoft world. So it's kind of cool, Chris, to
So we're going to click on that first one there, the one that's conveniently called Practice Maths Quiz.
And they spelt it the UK way just for you.
I know, it just for me, right? I feel like, and even practice is spelled the British way. Like it makes me feel like I'm back home. And so here now is our quiz. So we've now got a quiz that is in Microsoft Forms that we can now send to our students. And it doesn't matter if you're not using Teams with your students because you can just share the link. Now, I tried this with my students.
And it showed what the right answer is as well.
Yeah, so it's already in there with the correct answer. So you don't even need to do any work. You just literally share it with the students. So now, a few little things. So, you know, like those tools that you use the first time with kids and then it kind of like is an epic disaster because you always forget the most important settings. Right. So there are some important things you need to set in here before you share it with your students. Now, I believe that it's under the 3 dots in the corner. And in there are some settings. And in those settings, we can make it so that they only get the answers. So show the results automatically. You're going to want to uncheck that one. Because right at the little slider there we go. And we're also going to want to set it so only one response per person. So that's the only people in my organization, and then the little checkbox there, one response per person. So those two are my top tips for Microsoft Forms, learned by me the very hard way of my grade 10 students who filled in the form enough times to get all the right answers because it gave them the right answers, and they just kept filling it in until they were all right. So it does work. It's really epically awesome, especially if you choose something that works. So yeah, like go ahead, play. We'll give you like 2 minutes.
I don't even think we don't have 2 minutes. And besides, like I say, I think half of them have fallen on the floor. Daniel is definitely like, yeah, what's going on? But just in the interest of time, Chris, and I know, like, I wish we had more time to play, but what are your thoughts on, do we want to give them a sneak peek at Whiteboard or?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's blow their minds further, Michelle.
Well, I'll stop sharing that. And I'm going, in this case, we're going into the Whiteboard app. So we talked earlier about how the web version of things is different than the local version. We are now in the local version. I'm just going to load it up, Microsoft Whiteboard.
While you do that, I'll explain about Whiteboard. So if you have a Windows 10 computer, so if you have a computer running Windows 10, you have the Whiteboard app built into Windows 10. It doesn't work on a Mac. There is no Mac version of it, or there's no Chromebook version of this. But there is a web-based version of Whiteboard. There are some significant differences between the two. If you have access to a graphics tablet, like a Wacom digitizer, Whiteboard will change your life. But just a regular touchscreen laptop, like Whiteboard's pretty cool. Okay, Michelle, why don't you go ahead and try drawing a triangle?
All right. How's that?
That looks pretty good. Okay. So we can go ahead and you can actually, you see that piece of rope down there in the corner?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can actually draw around your shape there.
Nice.
Yeah, and then if you click on the magic wand.
Oh, is it because I didn't close my triangle?
Quite possibly.
Let's try again, but I'll bet you that's what I did. I'm going to have to go back to drawing school. Well, this is where we get to show you the erase button and try again. So there we go. And connect the dots. Oh, close to connect. And magic wand.
So anyway, so it should take that shape. Oh. It kind of did it. So what I find with this is that the straighter your edges, the better it is with the actual shape. The shapes. Like some tools
Coulter,
with.
did the power
one of
from Niagara Falls hit Montreal?
Okay, yeah, I didn't know if it was just me, but yeah, Chris, you're pretty jammed up there. Maybe try turning off the incoming videos, clicking your three dots at the top, go down, turn off incoming video, and that will maybe speed up the computer a little bit.
Absolutely fine.
That's so triangle. It should then actually give us a proper triangle, that rope tool. What are some other things in here, Chris?
Me? Like, am I good, huh?
A little bit choppy. I know, Coulter, you're also a whiteboard master too.
Yeah. There are you can hear us, Chris, but we want to hear you. Yeah, so there are some of those options there. You can pull out that ruler at the bottom, and we can make those lines. You can see as you turn, you'll see that little protractor in the middle to see your angles. You can use your mouse wheel too if you're using a mouse. That will also move your using the wheel on your mouse will rotate, make it a little bit easier. You have your settings there at the top. So, Chris, maybe when you get back, we can show. But what I want to show is that you can click on those three dots. Yeah, your hamburger there, and then you can post what we want to do. We don't want to post to Teams, but you can actually send it to a OneNote. Is what I wanted to showcase. But for some reason, it's not there for you, Michelle.
Can you hear me if I turn my video off?
It's all right. It's still a little bit choppy though, Chris. But yeah, why don't you give it another try? Tell me what's our next step? It's like 9 o'clock, Netflix, all the show. Kids are in bed. Parents are watching Netflix.
Is it still choppy now?
That's better.
Oh, it's better.
The Habs game tonight, Michelle.
Oh.
Calgary, you're not too familiar with playoff hockey, but
no, I've heard we haven't quite made it, but we're still playing. What?
Yeah.
Awesome, Chris. Well, we've got 3 minutes left. Those of you guys that have joined us, I mean, we do know this was a OneNote workshop, but we did want to throw in a little extra bonus features with Whiteboard. Let's just see, Chris, what do you think? Can we give them just a couple more little tips? Oh, he's going to post them in the chat.
Yeah, can you hear me?
No, I
Hear
think.
me?
No,
I
we
don't
can't.
understand.
It's okay, Chris. I'm going to show you, and
You don't understand.
this is from a really non-math background, but I do know something that wowed me that I think math teachers probably want. So all of your graph paper is built right in here. That's format background. So that definitely would be something that you'd be interested in. And then Coulter, you said,
Yeah, so what you could do is you should be able to, maybe it's when you export, but you should be able to get a sharing link. And then you should be able to put it in that sharing link into directly into OneNote as well. So I know it says to post in the Teams. Now it might have to deal with, I know if you're on the browser-based version, you should be able to, but it also could be when we want to find the link, Michelle. So maybe add people there if you clicked on the people.
ah, there we go.
And oh, Chris is coming back in, and let's see if it's going to pop up there. But in the past, it should give you an option. Now they do update things all the time, and maybe because they want you to be using Teams a little bit more. But in the slide deck, I actually have the visual for you, and it will walk you through sort of just a couple of those pictures. It should provide you that option to get a link, and I think it might have to do with it. You're on the browser base, so you might have, or the desktop version, Michelle.
Right. Yeah, but that's okay. We have taken ourselves to the top of the hour. Coulter, do you want to just throw up your slide deck again, or
Yep.
at least just post that link in the chat? So as Coulter mentioned, he has a full rich slide deck of screenshots, and then all of this cool whiteboard stuff that we were hoping to show you, it's in there too. But I tell you, just OneNote on its own is pretty great. Excellent. If you have any questions, by all means, throw those quick into the chat. MC, thank you for being here. And yes, have a fabulous long weekend. Daniel, thanks so much for all the commentary, the humor. I love it. That link, I didn't have access to that link, Daniel, but it could be I was using a different account.
I was testing out the copy link thing. I guess I probably didn't set the permissions right.
Yeah,
I figured that out later.
No, I know, right? But at least now you can see the possibilities. Oh, and Coulter, thanks so much for throwing in the slide deck. Oh, and there's the evaluation form. Of course, we have more workshops for Coulter. That's right. You had a code for everybody to submit to track that you've been to this workshop. Microsoft wants to hear from you. The more Microsoft hears that you're participating in these workshops, the more hopefully we get to do for free. So do you have that code, Coulter?
I'll pop that in the chat right now. So you can head on over to the Microsoft Education Center. And if you haven't got a account just yet, you can create an account, or if you do, click on your name in the top right, and that's where you can enter this code. I'll put the link in the chat right now, and then I'll follow it up with the code. Friendly reminder, if you, oh no, it doesn't pop up like that. Friendly reminder, if you do have a, don't copy and paste the code. Copying and paste the code will not redeem it. It'll pop up as an error. So here it comes.
I didn't know that. That's a good tip, Coulter. Interesting.
Yeah, it seems to be that's the big issue. They really want you to type it out.
It's that skill testing question, kind of. It's like, come on. So there it is. So
I should be good. I don't think I'm a robot anymore. Am I good now?
I think you are good now, just in time for us to say goodbye. So Chris.
Yeah, my internet speed was 0.1 megabits per second.
Well, we're glad you're back. Thank you so much, Chris, just for the math inspiration. Like really everything that you showed, I know nothing of what all of those graphs and things mean, but I know math teachers watching us, you sure did. And Coulter, your just expertise in the Microsoft world and in OneNote, it's inspired me and continues to inspire. So thank you guys both for being here. And thank you, all the rest of you, for joining us tonight. You have a great rest of your evening. Take care.